Okay guys, before we get started today, we need to start putting our ideas together about what a memoir is. We've now all read at least 3 memoirs, so let's write down some notes of what we think a memoir is. So on Edmodo, there's a link to a Padlet. In that link, you're going to write a post. First, you have to put your name in it, and then you're going to write down, what do you notice about memoir? What do you notice about how the author writes, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what goes into it? Go ahead and pause the video, type your Padlet, and then press play when you're ready to move on. Now that you have your Padlet up, I'll tell you some of the things that I notice about memoir. If you look in the front of the room, you'll notice that this is already written on chart paper as well, and we'll add your ideas to it later. What we notice about memoir is that the writer has an idea to share, and the writer might begin by explaining this idea to the reader, the way the essayist would explain a claim, or example, the way our author Sandra Cisneros discussed what it's like to be 11 before she started telling her story. We've also noticed that the writer might use a personal narrative to show how the idea is true. So in 11, after she discussed her ideas about being 11, she told the story to give an example about why she was frustrated. She told her story about the red sweater. We've also noticed that some memoirs might look more like stories with patches of idea-based writing around a big story, just like 11. But other memoirs may be mostly essay, with a lot of ideas and just a few small stories. Either way is okay. Today we want to teach you that memoirs are both idea-based writing and they are stories. So it really is a combination between essays and narratives, stories. They say something really important about the writer. The writer is you. So some questions to ask as we think about what topic we want to write about when we're writing a big idea memoir is, what matters most to me? What is important to you? What kind of person am I? What kind of person are you? And what is one of the big things that I want to say about my whole life? So I'm going to give this a try now. I have my questions written down, and I'm going to start brainstorming what I want to write about in my memoir. So first, what matters most to me? I think what matters most to me is my family. That's one thing. Something else that matters to me is my job. Not just that it's a job, but teaching. Teaching matters a lot to me. If I come up with some more ideas, I can come back to this and add it later. But for now, I'm just starting a quick brainstorm. Question 2, what kind of person am I? I think I am kind. I think I am hopefully inspiring. I think I'm the type of person who perseveres. If I can think of more, I'll add to that later. What is one of the big things I want to say about my whole life? Some of these notes actually started to get me to think. Teaching is really important to me, and persevering. I think I'm a person who perseveres, and it actually reminds me of something that did happen to me in my life. So one of the big things I want to say about my whole life is that I never gave up. So I think I'm actually ready to start my first attempt of a memoir right now. So I'm going to open up a Google Doc. You'll share it. You're going to do this yourself in a little bit too, because as soon as we start our brainstorm, it makes you start thinking about what you want to write about. So when you open yours, you'll share it with your teachers, and make sure you click the share button and type in our names. I'm going to go ahead and start writing mine right now as well, now that my ideas are flowing. I have my Google Doc open. So I'm going to put today's date on it. Today is the 15th. And this is just my first try of a memoir. We're going to be writing multiple ones. Some may be better than others. Some you may want to take through the writing process. I'm just going to flash draft. I'm going to write fast and I'm going to write hard about these ideas, teaching, persevering, and never giving up. And I'm going to tell a story about something important that happened to me. So, when I was 18 years old, I thought I was going to be a music teacher. I grew up playing piano and singing. When I was just 8 years old, I started my first piano lessons. So whatever comes into my head, I'm just going to write. I kept playing as I grew older and realized that I was improving. Not only was I getting better, but I realized I really liked what I was doing. I decided, I kind of have a new thought, so I'm going to add a new paragraph here. I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life being involved with music. Decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life being involved with music. When I turned 18 years old, it was time to start thinking about college. Since I wanted to be involved in music, I thought I should find a college with a music program. I picked out 3 schools and auditioned at all 3. I'm going to go to a new paragraph. This is when something horrible happened to me. I went to 3 auditions and was turned down at all 3 auditions. I thought my life was over. I went back to school the next week. During part of my day, I got to spend one class period at Clayton Ave Elementary School in Vestal. Each day, I worked in a 5th grade class with a teacher named Mrs. McKnight. I'll never forget her. I didn't teach these students music. I taught them reading, writing, math, and many other subjects. When I went, I'm going to do a new paragraph. When I went back into this classroom, things felt different. Music wasn't on my mind anymore. I realized with the help of Mrs. McKnight, I realized that it wasn't music that I really loved. I actually loved working with students. The subject didn't matter. I just wanted to teach. So that's my first flash draft. I'm going to stop there because I think I got all of my ideas out. I talked about how teaching is important to me. I think later I'll be able to go back and add more about not giving up and elaborate more about how I persevered, because it really took more than just one day being back in a classroom. But for now, I've got a flash draft done, and I can go back later and start to elaborate on the ideas that I have here. So to go back and review what I did, I started with my ideas. I wrote down a brainstorm. And then as soon as I felt inspired with an idea about something that was important to me, I opened up to Google Docs, shared it with my teacher, and I just started writing. Doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter what it sounds like, but it matters that you try to write right now. So, it's your turn. The first thing you'll need to do is start notes in your notebook. Put the date, start on a new page. Start jotting down notes. What matters the most to you? Make a list. What kind of person are you? Make a list. What is one of the big things that you want to say about your whole life? Make a list. Once you have your lists written, pick an idea and start writing your first memoir. Remember, this is not your last memoir. It is your first. Go ahead and get started.